I'm back. Rudrance for our Black and White Network. Well, I hope everybody had a safe and happy New Year's Eve. We're coming into New Year's Day. Happy New Year's. And thank you for all the growth on this channel. We grew by, if I'm remembering correctly, we jumped from 9,000 subs to 51,000 in just last year. So we appreciate that. That's unfreaking believable. Let's steamroll the bitch all the way to 100,000 this year, 150,000. I mean, our goal is sort of to blow this channel up bigger than the Big Sports channel, and you guys know it's pretty damn big. So anyway, you guys rock. So anyway, let's talk about Joe Rogan. And actually, we're going to be talking about a teacher, because this is the kind of thing that to me is frightening with what's going on in this country with democratic socialists, how they've infiltrated the school systems, the universities, the public schools, and the kind of control that they're trying to grasp from people, especially if there is an alternative thought process going through anybody's brain. In other words, if somebody chooses to push back on an issue and not just turn into sheep, go with status quo, let me just follow, no questioning, nothing. Okay? So, let me set the picture for you. A teacher decided that he would give his class an assignment to listen to a Joe Rogan podcast. You might be like, okay, it's a podcast widely available. It's the most listened to podcast in the United States. It's on Spotify. It's available wherever fine broadcasts are available. This particular one, I believe, was yanked off YouTube. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was. But he had Dr. Robert Malone on. Now, Dr. Robert Malone was involved with Moderna vaccines. He's brought up a lot of things that are against the status quo involving vaccines. And this teacher assigned this to his students. Hey, I want you to go watch this podcast, and then we're going to talk about it and just brainstorm, right? Well, they fired the teacher over it. I find this appalling. I find this frightening. But this is where we're going if we're not careful, okay? This should have you paying very, very close attention to what goes on in your kids' schools. I know I just recently found out there was a scenario where my son was going to it. I'm just going to keep it fucking real here. The school where I grew up, 1,200 people in East Texas. And he was told that no longer is blue for boys and pink for girls. They told him that in school. Now, he's not going there anymore just by natural process of us not living where we were going to live or are living. That's neither here nor there. But the point is, if he was still going there, and mind you, he was just going there 2 months ago, I would be at that school showing my ass tomorrow. Okay? He's not going there anymore, so I'm not going to make it an issue. I still may publicly drown them over it, though. I don't expect that to be happening in East Texas. Watch what's going on with your children's school. We know they're pushing ideologies. I'm in a very red-ass rural Texas. This is red as hell. And it makes me wonder, how many of the parents know really what's going on? Let's get to this. Teacher fired for having students listen to Joe Rogan interview. Dr. Robert Malone says, this is nuts. Scientist and Moderna vaccine researcher Dr. Robert Malone went viral on Twitter after he claimed that a teacher in New York was fired for giving students an extra credit assignment. Now, keep in mind, this is the same guy that was banned off of Twitter during the old pre-Elon days, okay? Because, again, he challenges, he questions, and he says there's issues out there involving, and I'm trying to be as correct as I can be right now to not harm myself on this platform. But you know what I'm talking about, wink, wink, right? Involving this vaccine. So, the assignment, Malone wrote, was to listen to his interview with podcaster Joe Rogan. Quote, crazy times. A teacher in New York was fired for having his students listen to my interview with Rogan in an extra credit assignment. Commissioner of Education demanded reinstatement with back pay, and evidently the district refuses to follow the order. There's Robert Malone right there. Along with his Twitter post, which went viral with over 7,000 likes, Malone also shared a link to an appeal from the New York State Education Department's website. The appeal referenced an assignment that asked students a series of questions about a podcast involving Malone, who became controversial in late 2021 and 2022 for pushing back on government narratives around COVID-19 vaccinations and the liberal media's response to the pandemic. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? Be objective. Ask questions. Present questions. Ask why. Why? That should be exactly what we want out of our kids, our students. This blindly follow crap is so dangerous. It truly is. Quote, why was he banned from Twitter? One question asked. Apparently referencing Malone's ejection from Twitter in December 2021. Another question prompted students about whether their, quote, constitutional rights are being upheld or violated. Of course they are in some states. The respondent claimed that this assignment, quote, had no valid curricular purpose and was actually a misuse of the teacher's authority that would pressure students into believing, quote, misinformation. Why is listening to something pressuring anybody into anything if they have powers of deduction and if they have their own thought process and can come to their own conclusions? That's not forcing a thought process on anybody. That's saying, here, look, this is another point of view. You've heard all the other point of views. This is this point of view. You guys shuffle it around in your heads. You come to your own conclusions. Free thought. I'm just pointing that out. But Southern students went on the record to say that the teacher who gave the assignment, Adrian Rickson, was, quote, an amazing educator and advocate for students. Another comment detailed the teacher's impact on that student's life. Mrs. Rickson was the most amazing teacher I had. She was motivated and helped me be a better version of myself and totally turned my life around. While the appeal does not mention Rogan specifically, Malone made headlines in December 2021 after he appeared on Rogan's show and discussed, quote, mass formation psychosis and what he called public hysteria over COVID-19 and vaccinations. The interview was taken off of YouTube, there it is, and widely censored on the internet, with Malone himself being banned from LinkedIn and Twitter. Billionaire Elon Musk reinstated Malone's account earlier this month. Malone currently has 819,000 followers and counting, and it is a self-described skeptic of Moderna vaccines, according to his profile. In one of his final tweets before being banned off Twitter in December 2021, he shared a link to a video from the Canadian COVID Care Alliance titled Inoculations for COVID-19 More Harm Than Good. That was the name of the video. Okay, so that's nuts. I mean, this is completely insane. The idea that this teacher would be fired for simply saying, hey, go listen to Joe Rogan, listen to the guy on Joe Rogan. You come up with your own conclusions because, free thought is supposed to be a thing. And I would hope we are teaching our students and our kids to use deduction and apply their own common sense ideals and belief sets to coming to their own conclusion, but that's not what we're doing. Squash, censor, act like it never happened, act like it doesn't exist. I find this nuts. It's absolutely frightening. But things like this have been going on, but now they're literally firing teachers over it, taking away livelihoods. I mean, it shouldn't surprise us because that's what they did during the pandemic anyway. Let's use COVID. Let's squash businesses. They destroyed so many small businesses. Mask mandates, we found out kids now have had all kinds of learning issues. The only thing that really came from that was of value was it did expose the school systems and a lot of the curriculum that they were passing on to your kids, which was bullshit. Gender ideology, these extreme left-wing democratic socialist social views. It's nuts. It's absolutely crazy. I hear this and I'm like, it's just unbelievable. I saw this. I told my wife, I said, I'm absolutely doing an effing video on this crap. I'm appalled that anybody, just simply Joe Rogan, you know, I understand it's Robert Malone. Who gives a shit? Wow. Food for thought, we used to call it. Right? I don't know. Tell me what you think, Black and White Network supporters. I myself am outraged by this. This is crazy as hell. I mean, he just got reinstated from on Twitter because of Elon. Otherwise, he'd still be banned. I'm sure he's still banned everywhere else. And that's not even the point. You know? This is a guy's point of view. I hate the entire term misinformation is just bullshit. I did hear that one of Trump's proposals, if he was to get reelected, is to sort of figure out a way to try to get rid of the term itself, misinformation. I don't know how he would do that, but I mean, I don't think you can ban a term, but you know what I mean. The idea that platforms could squash you and then call it, sweep it under the rug, the all-encompassing rug of it's disinformation, it's misinformation. Figure out a way to stop that bullshit. Oh no. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.